yourself and that please make sure that you rename yourself and that you add your organization name next to your name so that we know who you're affiliated with. We can help track attendance along the way. It helps us to ensure that the task force member is all promoted. So you can all unmute yourself and turn on your video throughout the meeting. So please make sure to unmute yourself along the way, interrupt us, ask questions. This is intended to be a collaborative discussion-based task force meeting. So please feel free to raise your hand, use the chat to provide feedback along the way. I know what it's like to sit through these meetings when often it's one person presenting, but we really want to make sure that this is discussion oriented and that you all have time to ask questions, provide input along the way. So feel free to interrupt us at any point in time. Just another reminder that closed captions are provided. So if you do need closed captions, you can use the live transcript feature at the bottom of the Zoom toolbar. That gives you the ability to view the closed captions. All right, so first item on the agenda is introduction to some familiar faces. We wanted to introduce you to Sandag's Digital Equity Manager, Chris Schmidt. He has been a longtime member of this task force with Caltrans and is now serving as the agency's Digital Equity Manager. So I'm going to hand it over to Chris to introduce himself, share a little bit about his background.
Yeah, hey everybody. Always a little frightening to see your own face on the screen like that. I am Chris Schmidt. I am the Deputy District Director for Right-of-Way for Caltrans here in San Diego. And previously to that, I worked in Sacramento as the state's or Caltrans Digital Equity Manager, Broadband Coordinator. We had lots of different titles. And when I came back to San Diego a couple of years ago, I started working on broadband again. And as a result of that collaboration with Sandag, we have an opportunity here to kind of share some staff between Sandag and Caltrans. So I've been brought on board to work as the Digital Equity Manager for Sandag. So I bring a lot of perspective in terms of what we're doing at Caltrans. And at a future meeting, we'll update you a little bit more. But as you hopefully know, Caltrans is building the middle mile network for the entire state. And in San Diego, we have literally hundreds of miles of that going in. And like I said, we'll brief you more on that. And then, of course, I also bring some perspective relative to our regional work that we're doing in collaboration with Sandag and, working with Sandag and SCAG with the other Caltrans districts to deliver projects. The other big thing I'm going to be focusing on, I don't want to spend too much time, is a lot of efforts in the last several months on tribal coordination and working with our tribal partners to work on broadband connectivity for them. So those are some of the key things, but glad to be here. Thank you.
Another new face I wanted to just introduce is Daria. She's an intern with our team, and I'm sure many of you have already received her emails regarding the agenda. So just wanted to make sure you guys are familiar with the name. You will receive future notices about task force meetings pertaining to the Digital Equity Task Force from Daria as well. So Daria, just want to say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Daria. You've all probably received the agenda from me. Please reach out to me as a point of contact regarding these meetings going forward. I am happy to assist you. At the end of the slides, you'll be able to find my email.
And if at any point in time you have another colleague that you want to receive task force updates, meeting notices, feel free to pass that information along to Daria, and we can make sure that our membership list is up to date and reflective of everyone who wants to stay engaged in this task force. All right, so we have quite a full agenda. The bulk of today's meeting is going to be dedicated to the Get Connected program, which we've been talking about for quite some time now with this task force, starting back earlier this year. But first, we wanted to give a really quick update on some other early actions identified in the Digital Equity Strategy and Action Plan. As many of you know, that strategy and action plan was adopted by the Sandag Board of Directors back in December. We'll put a link to the chat in just a minute where you can find that strategy and action plan if you want to peruse it. But that document was incredibly comprehensive and included a lot of near-term actions around improving both broadband access infrastructure and then broadband adoption. And so we as a regional agency have been advancing many near-term actions and have been working with many of you on this task force to advance those. And so we just wanted to spend some time going over a few of those. Next slide, please. So as we've shared, we're doing a lot of work around infrastructure and permitting specifically. That's Chris and team have convened a regional digital infrastructure task force, which comprises of staff from local jurisdictions, transit agencies who are really honing in on ways that we can improve and streamline permitting so that we can more expeditiously deploy broadband infrastructure in the region. So that's a project that is kicked off earlier this year and is currently ongoing. Some major milestones coming up soon around creating best practices for permitting broadband, and also collaborating really closely with our sister MPO, SCAG, on making sure that we have a coordinated and consistent approach for permitting in the Southern California region. So we'll come back to this task force with more information, probably at the next task force on an update on what the Digital Infrastructure Task Force has been up to. Chris shared a little bit about the state's middle mile network. That is another item that SANDAG has been closely tracking, participating in middle mile advisory committees. Again, we'd like to come back to this task force, invite Caltrans and any other folks involved in that effort to give an update on what the plans are for San Diego County, how many miles are proposed in the county, and what this means in terms of creating opportunities to make more last mile connections and bring internet connectivity to areas that are hard to reach and that are underserved today. So really great opportunity to improve broadband connectivity, especially in our rural areas and our tribal lands. So that's certainly a topic of discussion that we want to make sure the task force has an opportunity to hear from and weigh in. I'll talk about a few of these in just another minute, but let's go ahead to the next slide. As Chris mentioned in his introduction, coordination and engagement with tribes around improving broadband connectivity is a focus for us. We held a really fantastic workshop last month at the end of June with the Southern California Tribal Chairmen's Association, really to gather all of the tribes within the region and begin to coordinate and see how we can support tribes in pursuing some of the state and federal funding that's out there specific to improving broadband connectivity on tribal lands. So really great workshop. Maybe I'll stop here and see if Chris wants to add anything about the workshop and what's next in terms of engagement with tribes.
You know, the biggest thing came out of that workshop was the stories that some of the tribal members were really telling us, and some of their leadership and some of the struggles that they've been going through over the years, and also the different approaches. You know, some of the tribes have focused on this quite a bit more, and they have a little bit more in the way of resources. But what's similar is the same struggles that we see in some of the local community areas that are also underserved. So there's a really close parallel. And I think it was great to have the stories told, to get a better perspective. And one of the big takeaways is that we really want to provide technical assistance to the tribes to better navigate some of the funding programs. They're both state and federal funding programs available. And we want to make sure, quite frankly, that we get our fair share of those funding opportunities and work towards implementation. So we're going to continue to work with tribes to figure out how best to do that while respecting, you know, their sovereignty and their ability to do these things on their own. But we really see an opportunity to connect with them, especially in rural areas, as I mentioned, because a lot of the middle mile network that's being built is in the rural corridors on State Route 76, 78, 79, 67, 94, et cetera. So, you know, that is going to be really key for them. So we're really looking forward to that collaboration, and just really want to give a shout out to the Southern California Tribal Chairpersons Association for their willingness to engage with us on this. It's a complex issue, and they're all in. So we're really glad to see that.
Another big focus for us is collaboration, engagement with tribes and many of our local jurisdictions around supporting their broadband efforts. But then also, complementary to that is collaborating with the private sector to make sure that we are thinking about projects that are strategic and that are advancing broadband connectivity in areas that are underserved today. So last year, I believe we shared with the task force that we were hoping to develop a sort of mechanism by which we could participate and discuss with the private sector, and potentially partner with the private sector around deploying broadband projects. And so we partnered with SCAG to do a joint request for qualifications to really identify prospective broadband partnerships. And the intent of this was to create a process in which we could collaborate with the private sector and really create a mechanism that would allow us to continue fostering collaboration and dialogue with the private sector, and do so in a way that will enable us to really focus on the kinds of projects that we want to see in the region. So really making sure that we're focusing on middle mile and last mile projects that will advance our regional objectives, and doing so in a way that is coordinated and that is consistent for the broader Southern California region. So that RFQ went out last winter. It was open for a couple months, and a few of the task force members graciously participated in our evaluation panel, reviewed all of the proposals that came in, and we were able to pre-qualify a list of over 20 different prospective partners. Some of the objectives, if we go back to the previous slide around what we'd like the RFQ to help us accomplish, is really ensuring that we are seeing the kinds of broadband projects that are advancing the vision of the regional digital equity strategy and action plan, right? So really making sure that as we're thinking about deploying new broadband services, that we're thinking about high quality, reliable, and affordable services. Thinking about projects that are scalable, that are not specific to one kind of technology, but really looking at some of those user-driven performance measures, making sure that internet services are accessible, that they're affordable, that they are reliable for households. And then also looking for ways to ensure that we are not only thinking about broadband services as in a silo, but that we're thinking about the complementary adoption measures, digital literacy, all of these things that really make sure that a household is able to get connected and stay connected and use internet reliably. So next slide, please. This is the list of prospective partners that went through our RFQ process. SANDAG has entered into cooperative agreements with all of these firms, and SCAG is in the process of doing so as well. Some of the immediate next steps are to develop a project pipeline of various broadband deployment opportunities, really looking to coordinate with the County of San Diego on their comprehensive broadband planning efforts to make sure that whatever regional projects we're identifying complement what the county is doing through their planning, what some of our other local jurisdictions are identifying as well. And then doing some market sounding to make sure that a lot of these projects will be feasible, that they are eligible for some of the state and federal funding that's going to be available in the next few years. So much more work to be done, but we wanted to make sure that this task force was aware that we do have this bench of prospective partners. The procurement was set up in a way so that other agencies who may be interested in using our list of prospective partners to do work or bid some work, that is something that is enabled through that process. So if you have any questions about the RFQ, want to learn more, want to see how you might be able to leverage this list for your own efforts, whether it's a specific broadband deployment project or planning efforts, let us know. We have a pretty comprehensive diverse group of firms here that range in everything from planning for broadband, actual deployment of service, and then firms that also are thinking about digital literacy and broadband adoption measures. Barry, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I had a quick question. When you were going over the interactions you guys have had with the tribal folks, I was wondering if there's any value and maybe some of us sitting in on that meeting as well. That would be kind of interesting to see where the similarities are for some of us panelists, but just something for you guys to ponder. It would be good, I think, and again, collaboration and seeing how the different groups meet.
Yeah.
And it's a healthy interaction because we don't interact with the tribals on a day-to-day basis, right? And so nor do they with us, the CBOs that are here, urban or in San Diego. So that's all. It's a thought. That's all.
No, that's a good point, Barry. We do have the recording of the workshop that we held with the tribes on our website. We can share that after the fact, or if you just want to take a look at the deck or the meeting minutes, happy to share those, but great point. And I think if we host another public forum as well, another workshop, that's something that we can make sure the task force is aware.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Sanjeev?
So I have a question on the next steps with this this slide and the previous one. So now that we have this bench, what's a next step for an area in the backcountry to utilize this bench and get the offer of technical assistance that Chris mentioned and make some progress on? So the two providers, for example, in Borrego Springs and Julian and so on, are on this list, AT&T and Zito Media. And so how can we move them forward? I don't know if there's an answer right now, but that's kind of the next step from my perspective.
Yeah, one of the next steps for us internally is to, as I mentioned, develop that pipeline of projects, those deployment opportunity areas. Where is it that we think the investments should be targeted? Additional investments should be targeted where additional service is needed. So we're taking a look at some of the available data to us to kind of use that to really drive the process. And then we'll be doing some of that market sounding that I mentioned, not only with the private sector, but I think with the community, to your point as well, or some of the major stakeholders in some of these areas to make sure that we're thinking about all of the opportunities on the table. Chris, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, and rather than sort of beating around the bush here, I think we are waiting a little bit for the County of San Diego to kind of finalize their broadband assessment and really showcase and highlight the issue that you're bringing up in terms of a place like Borrego Springs and how do you serve that area? And so to the extent that they help identify that through the planning effort, that's going to be helpful. And then we want to bring in a specific deployment idea and reach out to these entities and basically say, look, what is the best strategy to serve that community? What upgrades are needed? What additional technology should be deployed? What bandwidth challenges are there? And how also would the system be ultimately well maintained and operated at an affordable cost? So that's kind of the package deal. We need to set that up. And like I said, we're trying to follow a little bit of a planning process and be respectful of the county's planning. The draft plan, I believe, is going to be coming out soon. We've heard sort of end of July, and that'll be kind of a springboard, especially for some of the rural areas.
Yeah, so my goal to bring it up was to just keep it on the
Absolutely
on the stack. And I liked Crystal's answer more than I liked yours. Thank you.
Okay.
I see Nicole is on. I hate to put you on the spot, Nicole, but I think at the next task force meeting, we're planning to have the county present an update on their comprehensive broadband plan. But maybe, Nicole, do you want to give us an update on timeline, where you're at in the process?
I can give you a timeline update. I was just going to drop it in the chat. So we had originally planned for end of July, but we extended the timeline a bit just to make sure that we were able to take into consideration some other stakeholder feedback, and then really making sure that we get the details down right. So we're actually looking more towards September. But yes, if the timing aligns, then at our next task force meeting, hoping we can provide an update on that. The county's plan is being developed for the unincorporated parts of the county. And so we just have been wanting to make sure that we're able to highlight that piece as well.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks.
And then I see a comment here about from Anna, whether there's information on some of the other jurisdictions that are doing their own digital equity planning. We have heard from the city of Chula Vista and city of San Diego on some of their planning efforts in the past. Some of our other cities on the call, I'm not sure if you are on or want to give an update, but I'm thinking it sounds like maybe our next task force meeting should really be focused on some of the infrastructure planning efforts underway, both regionally at the county level and some other local jurisdiction-led efforts. I see David turned on his camera. David, do you want to give us an update on what Carlsbad has in the works?
Yeah, it would be good for us to all have, I think, a conversation at our next one and see where maybe we can leverage the work each other are doing. For us, rather than a broader strategy, we're focusing very heavily directly on wireless and outdoor wireless first, connected with our own network that we're building out to begin to identify gaps and allow for people to be able to use it wherever they are, and then coordinating with our existing providers in that area. So that's kind of been our focus, taking a little bit of a different approach at it.
Thanks, David. Any other cities, not just North County, any other cities on the call who might want to give an update? All right, well, I hear from David that he thinks it's a good idea to have a more planning focused theme at our next task force meeting. So we'll make sure to bring that back and maybe ask a few other of our cities to share an update. Dennis.
No, I would agree with David. I think one of the things that we were very deliberate in our plan was specifically what we're doing now, which is making sure that we're tapping into the resources of the region and other folks who also understand the importance of what we're trying to do. So what we would like to do is continue to keep that door open and engage with other folks who are coming to the realization that this is important or may have other ideas. So at the next meeting, as David has recommended, is, let's open that conversation and figure out, where we could find synergies and opportunities to collaborate in partnership and discuss.
Agreed. We have a lot of great expertise on this task force as well, not only from the planning accessibility side, but a lot of nonprofit CBOs that are doing great work around broadband adoption, digital literacy. So I think it's a great idea to see how we can make sure that the planning efforts are comprehensive and that we're all leveraging best practices and our expertise. Armando.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Armando Haro. I work for the city of San Diego as a digital navigator and digital equity intern. And what the city of San Diego is doing right now, we're collaborating with Digit Unity through the 10 City Pilot Project towards device access for underserved community members. And so one of the most important preliminary steps to increase device access in San Diego is to create a map of the pathways and to find the barriers and also the device access in San Diego. So what we're doing right now is we're conducting a survey, the VNL survey, for different organizations and different businesses to connect them with stakeholders to build a sustainable and accessible device ecosystem in San Diego. So if all of you don't mind, I would like to drop in the survey because I think it's very important to create a device ecosystem in San Diego. So, yeah.
We'll do, and we can send a notice out to the broader task force group, Armando, after this as well. All right, we're gonna jump ahead, or I see a hand up. Marisela?
Hi, Crystal, can you hear me? It's Maricela with SDG&E.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, I just want to chime in. We're doing some undergrounding in the eastern portion of our service territory, and we're currently working with the county and have had discussions with Caltrans. If anyone's interested in going joint trench with us in those areas, we can possibly meet or present our plan so people can see if any of the trenches are beneficial to reach some of those tribal communities to take advantage of that trench.
I'm glad you bring that up because that's a big part of the permitting discussion that Chris has been having with the Digital Infrastructure Task Force and very related to our planning discussion. So maybe we add this as another item at the next agenda. Thanks, Marisela. All right, just to wrap up our update on some of the early actions, I'm going to move forward to another exciting effort that is kicking off next month, related to our discussion around planning for broadband infrastructure. You know, this infrastructure is really important for the work that this task force does around digital equity and broadband accessibility. But this infrastructure is also a really important part of what SANDAG does in its other work pertaining to transportation, helping our local cities achieve their smart city objectives and visions. And so to really help ensure that there is a coordinated approach throughout the region and to ensure that our locals have the support to be able to do this work, we are bringing on a consultant to help us develop what we're calling a digital infrastructure inventory. In short, what this consultant is going to do is bring together all of the data that some of our locals have been keeping around where they have fiber today to support their traffic signals, to support, you know, their public facilities. Put this all in one place, normalize it, and then deploy web mapping applications, sort of like what you see here that our locals can use to better inform where they deploy fiber for broadband or for traffic purposes, and then just ensure that we are making the best use of all of the public assets that are out there today, explore how we can use maybe some underutilized fiber to actually support broadband deployments in areas that are underserved today. So pretty technical project that's kicking off, but it's going to be a really important part of some of the future planning work that SANDAG is involved with, and I think will support a lot of the great work that many of our locals are interested in. Paul.
Yeah, that sounds great, Crystal. So quick question as a project manager, do you guys have a time frame on how long you think this project may go for? And the other thing is there going to be input from other entities and possibility on some of those layers that could be involved in that inventory map?
Great question. For now, we are scoping this as a year-long effort. We may need to revisit that as we kick off the project, as you know, Paul. Sometimes project schedules go on a little bit longer, but I do think that the next step for this team with the project kickoff is to identify the lists of stakeholders to engage throughout the process. And I presume that this group will be coming back to this task force and the Digital Infrastructure Task Force to collect input along the way. But if this is a project that you're interested in and you want to stay involved in, send me a note and we'll make sure that the project manager receives that information and keeps you up to date.
Great. Thank you, Crystal.
Next slide, please. And just to kind of reiterate some of the use cases of this inventory, as I mentioned, is going to be really critical for a lot of the future work that SANDAG is embarking on and that many of our locals are embarking on as well. The SANDAG is doing a lot of work around creating a regional intelligent transportation system, enabling the ability to deploy smart intersections in the region, things like curb management, being able to monitor the transportation system in real time. So having this database is going to be a really critical piece of our ability to accomplish all of these different use cases. So really exciting project, and we'll be coming back with this group with updates along the way. Next slide, please. The digital infrastructure database is also a really important part of another project that's kicking off simultaneously, and that's our digital infrastructure and broadband network master plan. I'm going to hand it over to Chris to just give a really quick update on this project, which is just kicking off, going to be kicking off later this summer.
Yeah,
Chris?
so thank you. So this portion is similar to what we talked about, the inventory. The inventories try to get a baseline on what really is out there in terms of public infrastructure that we could leverage. The digital master plan goes a little bit further to really start scoping out how that inventory and that network could be further leveraged and developed to connect public facilities. And that's kind of what's highlighted here in phase 2 of the project. It's really to leverage that information. And kind of what was touched on here and what Carlsbad's doing, can we roll out more services to the public by creating some hotspots, by extending some coverage from existing cell towers, things like that? How do we better serve the community? And we need to obviously get a better handle on how the community is not as well served as they could be. So part of this planning effort will also rely on some of the new data that we're hoping to be receiving from the Public Utilities Commission and from the FCC, as they map out, actual locational based information about how well people are connected. So the idea is really to create more municipal service connectivity. And as it says here, libraries, public parks, mobility hubs where people congregate, and really provide some services that are otherwise not as readily accessible. The intent is not, and I think it's worth pointing out here, since we have our ISP friends on this call too, is not to create a competing network. That's not the goal. It's not to replace anything that is already out there, but it's really to augment some of the services that community members would like to see, especially in perhaps harder to reach locations and communities that have been traditionally underserved. So this would be a way to jumpstart that effort. And the best example that we have of that is what was done in the South Bay cities up in LA, where basically the cities connected to each other's and created a dark fiber network that was relatively low cost to deploy, also saved them quite a bit of money, and basically created some redundancy for some of their services. So really kind of a cool setup, and we're basically wanting to explore that through this master plan. We're in the middle of soliciting the consultant. We hope to select highly competent outfit to do this. And I forget exactly what the timeline is, but we'll know more once we're into it. 6 months or so, we'll be able to update you all on the progress we're making. And I see Barry's hand up.
This is such great news, you guys. I mean, I have to tell you, creating an inventory and finding out where our baseline is critical as we make these decisions. How long is it going to take the map to start? I know it's going to have layers on top of it and all this stuff, but what's your time frame, Crystal, for having this baby operational?
For now, we've scoped it as a year-long effort. TBD on when it becomes public. I think initially the intent is to make sure that it's useful for our cities to be able to do the planning, and then we'll need to roll out sort of that public-facing dashboard.
Yeah, and then maintenance is going to be important because I'm sure we're going to make progress on it. But it'll target some good specific areas, and I'm just jazzed. I'm glad we're doing this. This is very encouraging.
Well,
So
keep in mind, Barry, we're still in the planning phase, right? So implementation is kind of the next step. So we have to be, cautiously optimistic and enthusiastic, because we're ultimately going to need to find some money to fund some of these key connections. But there is significant money available, and I think this planning effort will also help us seek out and attain some of those funding opportunities. So,
that's right. Good move. I love it.
And to Paul's point earlier, I mean, as Chris mentioned, this project is just kicking off, but the project team is putting together a project plan, and there will be opportunities for stakeholder input throughout the process. So just wanted to mention that this early days, but we'll be coming back to you and reaching out for stakeholder input along the way. John?
Hi, good afternoon. I just wanted to reiterate on this particular point that it's very important as we look to serve the unserved areas to leverage existing assets that are out there. AT&T has a very extensive network that serves almost every cell site for backhaul. And so there's ample amounts of fiber deployed throughout the major transportation corridors. And that could be leveraged to use what's out there and existing today vis-a-vis building new when it's not necessarily required. And then you also have the operations and maintenance to consider, which was also mentioned. And it's important to think about if there is a carrier that has infrastructure out there that's already existing and operational and maintained, why not leverage that when it's a much cheaper equation than to go out and build new. So I know you mentioned leveraging existing fiber that the cities have. And I would encourage the group to consider strongly how to leverage existing assets that are already in place today.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, John. All right, so you've heard about some of the planning efforts that are kicking off here regionally that SANDAG is involved with, but as David mentioned and Anna asked about, there's a lot of opportunities for locally led planning efforts to also really complement what is happening at the state level and then here regionally. So we wanted to make sure that our local agencies on the call today are aware of a forthcoming grant funding opportunity. It's a program that we've mentioned a few times now, and that's the Local Agency Technical Assistance Grant Program through the CPUC. So I'm going to hand it over to Priscilla from our team to give a quick overview on the funding opportunity and walk you through how you can apply.
Yeah, thank you, Crystal, and hi, everyone. So as you guys may already know, last year, Governor Newsom signed a historic broadband legislation bill to really help bridge the digital divide here in California, and that really paved the way for the creation of the Local Agency Technical Assistance Grant. And so this grant really does allocate about $50 million for local agencies, tribes, educational. Am I still here?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, is my camera off?
Yes.
Okay, it looks like I'm having like a technical issues. My screen just turned off, but so it does provide allocate up to $50 million for local government agencies, tribes, educational agencies, utilities, power authorities, joint power authorities to really make last mile connections to broadband. And agencies can apply for up to $50,000 per year to do pre-construction just work, including feasibility studies, engineering design, needs assessments, and any staff time that's actually added because of the project. And so it is a really good opportunity. The CPUC will begin funding these projects starting August on a rolling basis, and it is first come, first serve. And so there is like a time sensitive component there. And so I do suggest that if anybody's interested to visit the Local Agency Technical Assistance Grant website, which I believe Daria put on the screen. It does have a manual that's really helpful and also a 10-minute webinar that's really not that demanding our time. So hopefully you guys can learn more about it. Next slide, please. And so in order to apply, it's pretty easy. You could just go on the website. There are materials that are available, complete the actual documents, submit any additional documents that are required. And I think it's an email submission. So the email is right there on the screen. So you can definitely just email and submit it that way. As I mentioned, there is a pre-recorded webinar as well. And there's an actual webinar going on live next Tuesday, August 2nd from 10 a.m. to 11. And so we will send the registration link along with this deck. And so that way people can access it when the time comes.
Sanjeev?
Do you know if it requires collaboration with the planners and providers and so on and so forth?
Whether the projects require collaboration?
No, whether using the technical assistance to make a submission for a grant requires working jointly with some technical planners and potentially with providers and so on, with vendors and providers. The reason I ask is I at some point I had reviewed some of these applications and I found them to be pretty comprehensive. And I don't know that backcountry areas have people who are capable of putting together such grant applications to be able to utilize this kind of technical assistance?
So I can answer that. There is actually like coordination, and you need to show coordination in order to apply for the grant itself. And some of them is in form of letters. And so if you are a city, for example, you do have to provide letters from neighboring cities to show that you're collaborating with that neighboring city. There are some caveats where, like, if you're a county, for example, or if like you're right next to a county, you don't have to send that coordination. And I think for tribes, there isn't a requirement either, but they do encourage lots of coordination in terms of that.
Right, thank you.
Coordination is always a plus, and if there's anything SANDAG can do to help you as you consider applying, or whether it's seeking letters of support, whether it be from SANDAG or from other local jurisdictions, let us know how we can help you. SANDAG recently submitted an application, a grant application to the CPUC, not for the local agency technical assistance program, but for CASF, the California Advanced Services Fund, to seek funding for expanding our Get Connected program, which we'll talk about in just a minute. All of that to say, we've been through this process recently, and so we've got some valuable lessons learned on the process and what it takes to put together an application of this scale. So if you want to reach out to us, we're happy to kind of walk through that experience and what it looked like from our perspective.
And maybe just real quick, Crystal, just to make it really clear for everybody, SANDAG cannot apply directly. We're still navigating how we can assist. We would love to be able to put our name as the lead on an application. That is not quite the way the CPUC sees the entity, but we are here to assist you. There's $50 million available. The county typically gets about 10% of state funding. We should be bringing about $5 million back to the region for this type of work. So we really want to assist anybody who's got an interest in doing this type of work. And it can be lots of different things. It can be very, very technical. It can be higher level. The scopes, you know, are fairly broad in terms of the kind of range of things that you can do. And to the extent that you partner with anybody who has the technical expertise, so much the better. But if you don't have that and you're just trying to do something to create some other momentum behind a community initiative or something like that, I think there's room for those kinds of applications as well. You just need to meet the application status requirements as an entity that can actually receive the funds, which is part of the difficulty we have as SANDAG as the entity. But we stand ready to help, and really just want to thank Priscilla because she's been navigating these funding programs, trying to better understand them. And a shout out to Daria for preparing the grant that she just submitted for CASF, which hopefully will get us some more money for the next part of the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelly, I see you have your hand up.
Hi, I'm Kelly Henwood. I'm with the San Diego College of Continuing Education, which is the non-credit adult education arm of the San Diego Community College District. Sorry, I'm kind of in the weeds here. I'm wondering, I'm keeping logging on and off because I'm switching where I'm sitting at one of our campuses, but I cannot copy the chat and I can't put things in the chat. I'm wondering if you can enable it because I want to share this information on this funding opportunity. And I can't seem to save the chat or copy the chat, and I don't have a copy of the PowerPoint.
We'll send out a copy of the PowerPoint with all of the links after. I am trying to promote you to panelists, so that should give you the opportunity to access the chat. But if along the way you have any technical difficulties, feel free to just send us a message. Danielle?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm having the same issue. It's a webinar for me, so I can't access the chat or anything really. I can only watch.
All right, thank you. We will continue to promote folks to panelists. If you could help us by renaming yourself so that we can know what organization you're affiliated with to make sure the task force members are all admitted to the meeting. But we will send out all of these materials shortly after this meeting concludes, so you have access to all of the links. All right, if you have time to join this webinar next week and you're interested in applying for the local agency technical assistance program, we strongly encourage you to join. We'll do our part to listen in as well and share any information we receive. And, you know, to Chris's point, if there's anything we can do to help you as you consider applying, let us know. We're here to help, and we want to make sure we bring as much funding to the region to support planning and any prospective broadband deployment projects. All right, we're gonna switch gears now from planning and infrastructure to the adoption side of the equation. Over the past few months, we've come back to this task force a few times to share what we've been doing around Get Connected and creating a program to really raise awareness around some of the various digital equity resources that are available in the region. And one of those primary resources that we really want to make sure folks in the county are aware of is the Affordable Connectivity Program. I think all of you are aware of this program. But for those of you who are new, this is the Federal Communications Commission's subsidy program for broadband. It provides up to $30 a month per $30 a month discount for broadband services for eligible households. And if you're a household on tribal lands, that subsidy increases to $75 per month. And if you want to learn more about the eligibility requirements or visit, see the list of providers that are participating in ACP, there's a link to the federal program. I'm going to hand it over to Daria now to just quickly go over where enrollment is at for the ACP program statewide and in the county. This is really going to help set the stage for some of our discussion in just a minute on how we can continue to collaborate to raise awareness about this program.
Thank you, Crystal. Hi, everyone. I noticed that some of you are not able to access the webinar link. It's actually because it's a secure link. So I'm just going to pop back in the LEDA website, which can link you to the webinar. And there's also a pre-recording that I sent in there. So that's that latest link. It's a repeat of the LEDA. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys the ACP enrollment to date in California, provided by California for All, Broadband for All. They have an ACP Enrollment Tracker in California, which, as you can see, is showing a very upwards progress in ACP enrollment, which is a great thing. There's still a lot of momentum. In San Diego specifically, we actually have over 450,000 eligible households for the ACP. So far, only 26% of this target audience is enrolled. So there's still a lot of room to share the ACP program and to promote adoption. We've actually been tracking ACP enrollment in San Diego County through the Universal Service Administrative Company. They actually release data by zip code. The most recent data of right now is June, but that's actually not totally including all zip codes in San Diego County. So there's still some room for that to be shoved a little bit more. So there's still definitely room to grow. It's going in an upward trend. This is definitely, you know, something that can be pushed and that we're working really hard to get through our Get Connected program. And I'll let Crystal talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so it's great to see ACP enrollment trending upwards in the county and statewide, but we really want to make sure that enrollment spikes here locally with, you know, over 400,000 households that are eligible for this subsidy program. That's a lot of households. They have the opportunity to have affordable access to internet services. So it's a great program, and the impact of this program is pretty significant. So we want to make sure that as many households in the county that are eligible are able to enroll for this program. So we recently partnered with 211 San Diego, the City of San Diego, and the County of San Diego to launch the Get Connected campaign. This is a program that we're hoping will encourage awareness of the ACP and then many other resources and programs that are available in the county. So, you know, where you can find low cost computer devices offered through organizations like Computers to Kids or San Diego Futures Foundation, where you can find training events or opportunities to learn how to use the internet, to learn how to use your computer, and where you can access public Wi-Fi. County libraries all have hotspots available for many community members, as well as many other public locations throughout the county. So we're really trying to consolidate all of this information and create one comprehensive database where folks can access this information. So what you're seeing here is a snapshot of our landing page. This is the main Get Connected landing page. It just recently launched a few weeks ago to help raise awareness and promote the Get Connected campaign. On this next slide, you'll see a snippet of some of the collateral that we put together through our partner resource toolkit. Our toolkit has a lot of really convenient information for organizations to help us spread the word around Get Connected and promote the Affordable Connectivity Program. It includes flyers, posters. We have a short FAQ if you kind of want to peruse that to better understand how the Get Connected program works. And we have some sample content for you on whether it's for your social media team to kind of plug and play and put into your queue, or whether you have an ongoing newsletter that you want to add a Get Connected blurb. Lots of great resources here for you to just kind of take what we've already done and share it amongst your different networks. We've also made them available in 8 different languages. So a lot of great resources here for all of you to take and distribute. And we really want to make sure that this gets to the hands of everyone that it needs to. We've been pushing it out here locally through our social media, through our various regional newsletters. We've seen many organizations do the same. But we really want to be seeing more of this out there. So please help us by taking some of these collaterals and sharing them amongst your network. And if you have any other ideas on how we can collaborate on Get Connected, how we can continue amplifying the messaging, please let us know. Next slide, please. In addition to the toolkit, we are also going to be rolling out in the next few weeks a mixed media strategy to help kind of really make sure we are reaching households in areas that are underserved today. So we are going to be rolling out, with the help of funding and resources from City of San Diego and the County of San Diego, we're going to be rolling out ads on many of our transit services, transit shelters. You'll start seeing some ads in local print publications, as well as direct mailers to make sure that households that are in areas that lack broadband connectivity or have low broadband adoption are able to learn more information, learn about these opportunities, and can simply call 211 for more information on how they can get connected to the Affordable Connectivity Program or have access to many of the other resources that are in 211's database. Next slide, please. We've also started doing attending a lot of community events to talk to community members on a one-on-one basis. We participated at the MTS Summer Barbecue in June, and just this past weekend, Daria and Priscilla were at the Chula Vista Elementary School District Community Expo, sharing information on Get Connected and how they can access the Affordable Connectivity Program. And we are here to table and to share these flyers with community members. So if any of you have any community events coming up, any opportunities where we can have a table or where we can just provide flyers to make sure that they end up with households, please let us know. Things with the back to school kind of time frame coming up, if you have any back to school events, food drives, anything of that nature that we can really use to make sure families are aware of the various resources, we'd love to hear about that. I'm gonna stop here and see if Alberto has a question, and then Charlene.
Yeah. In mentioning about the getting information out in newspapers and flyers and all that, remember there's a large population that is underserved, and that is people with disabilities with blindness especially, but there's also people with disabilities that can't read print. So we need to look at other methods of getting that information out besides the print, TV, radio kind of things.
Good point. Thank you, Charlene. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. So Crystal, just real quick, I know that there's a statewide offered as well. So I guess like August 27th is the ACP day. I know that we're working with that to drum up ACP enrollment on that day. So we're working with like community partners. We're also probably doing about like a $10,000 in kind for ads, right? PSAs for the event. Will Sandag be participating as well in communicating the areas that people can sign up for that day on August 27th?
We actually have folks from CETF here today to talk about Get Connected Day. So yeah, we'll talk about this, and we want to make sure. Yeah, no, that was a good setup. That's actually the next part of the agenda. So thank you for bringing that up. Sanjeev?
My question is it operated through a provider? Does the program work through a provider only?
ACP or Get Connected?
Get Connected.
Get Connected regionally is a resource for education. So folks who want to learn more about the various resources and programs can either call 211 or visit our landing page to get connected to the other resources. But if you call 211, they will connect you with some of the providers that are in their database that serve your area. And then we also will be hearing later today about Everyone On, which is a great organization that provides a hotline for folks to also walk through the enrollment process. So hold your thought there, Sanjeev, because we want to make sure Everyone On has the chance to kind of share the great resources they provide. All right. Any other questions about the Get Connected campaign?
Hey, Crystal,
go ahead, Dennis.
I had a quick question, and this is tied to this initiative and some of the other initiatives that you just talked about. Is what is the role of Sandag's, and I forget the name of it. I believe it's the Division of Equity, and I forget the name of it. But what is the role of that group and this initiatives? Is there any overlap? Is there any collaboration? And the reason I'm asking that is we just recently approved, or council just approved, a consultant to do an equity strategy across the city. And we see everything that we're doing around equity, including our digital equity, as being a piece of that larger puzzle. So I'm interested in hearing how that's working over at Sandag.
One of the early actions and strategies in our strategy and action plan was, creating a regional sort of database that would house all of the various digital equity resources in the region. So the Get Connected campaign is a big part of how we communicate and sort of educate the public on some of the various programs and services in the county. So it's a little part of our much bigger digital equity program that we are implementing. Not sure if that answered your question though, Dennis, or if you had.
Well, not exactly. I know that there's a division within Sandag. And I forget the exact, but I think it's called the Division of Equity and Inclusion or something like that. And I'm trying to find out what is their role, or is there any collaboration in terms of what they're doing and this a very important initiative?
Yeah, a lot of coordination. I think what you're referring to is the diversity, equity, and inclusion work that Sandag is doing. We actually, Chris and I, just a few days ago, were discussing with the team on, some accessibility measures that, need to take place to make sure that the content that Sandag is posting on our website is accessible. Going back to Charlene's point, right? So it's certainly complementary, and there's some coordination going on internally amongst these two teams.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other hands up? Questions? Okay, I'm going to hand it over to our project partners now so they can give an update on how they're working with us to spread the word on Get Connected. First up is Megan from 211 San Diego.
Thanks, Crystal. Yeah, so I'm Megan Rowland, data analyst with 211 San Diego. Thanks for having me today. I'm standing in for Jessica Peter with a data update on digital equity related calls to 211 and our support of the Get Connected campaign. Next slide. Just a couple of quick program updates. On July 12th, we added the San Diego Futures Foundation SD Access for All Digital Navigator program to our resource database, which we're very excited about. And on July 14th, we launched a 45-minute e-learning on the Get Connected campaign for our client services team. Next slide. And here's a look at some call volume trends. Since April, 851 clients have called 211 for help with a digital equity related need. Calls have been fairly steady week over week. I imagine we expect it to increase as the outreach increases. And these clients have received almost 1,400 referrals to community resources to address these needs. Next slide. Here's a summary of the types of digital equity needs that clients are calling about. And those, for those who aren't familiar with the way we use the term need, needs are documented reasons for which the client was referred to a resource. Am I still on? Sorry, my screen just changed.
I can still hear you, Megan.
Okay, great. Top digital equity needs are for utility payment assistance, such as discounted internet and phone service. And this includes discount programs through individual internet service providers. And other digital equity needs include discounted computer or cell phone programs, computer literacy training programs, and public internet access sites. Next slide. This is a list of our top resources our clients were referred to for digital equity related needs. Since April, 140 clients have been referred to the Affordable Connectivity Program, and 5 clients so far have been referred to the SD Access for All Digital Navigator Program. Referrals to the ACP have been steady week over week. We've been referring about 10 to 20 clients per week since mid-May. And again, we expect these referrals to be picking up in the coming weeks. And then other top referral agencies include the California Lifeline Program for discounted phone service, everyoneon.org, the San Diego Futures Foundation, Jewish Family Services, Interfaith Community Services, and San Diego Workforce Partnership. Next slide. And so this is a snapshot of our client population that has been referred to the ACP so far. In terms of general demographics, the most common age groups are 30 to 39 and 50 to 59. More than 2/3 are women. 2 out of 5 are Hispanic Latino, about 30% white Caucasian, and 16% Black African American. 6% are military or veteran clients. 40% live alone, and 45% have children. This client population is demographically similar to the general population of clients calling 211, with just a couple of differences. Clients referred to the ACP are less likely to be between the ages of 20 to 29, so younger, and more likely to be between the ages of 50 to 59, and also slightly more likely to have children. And next slide. And then looking at socioeconomic indicators, 48% have a high school education and 15% have less than a high school education. 36% are unemployed, 24% are disabled or unable to work, and 24% are working full or part-time. And then the vast majority, 93%, earn 30% or less of the area median income. Comparing the general population of clients calling 211 to clients referred to as ACP, clients referred to ACP are more likely to have a high school degree compared to having less than a high school degree, more likely to be disabled or unable to work, more likely to be retired, less likely to be employed full or part-time, and overall earn lower income. And next slide. And so this is a map of clients referred to the ACP so far. Most calls came from Central, East, and South regions. And again, just comparing to our general 2-in-1 population, clients referred to the ACP are more likely to live in East and North Central regions and less likely to live in South regions. So as we connect more clients to this program, we'll continue to look at this data and report out on the population that we're serving. And if anyone's interested in any additional data, reach out to Jessica Peter and we'll see what we can do. And that's what I have to share with you today.
Thank you very much, Megan. Great insights on the calls that are being received, and thank you for sharing some of that information. Any questions for Megan? Alberto?
Yeah, just a quick question. So Megan, will you be able to like put a post or link to the slides as well?
Yep, we'll post the entire slide deck on our task force committee page and we'll send it out to the entire group.
Thanks.
All right, next I'm gonna hand it over to City of San Diego to give us an update. Kelsey, are you on the call? Or perhaps another city staff member? Okay, why don't we skip ahead to, I think it's county, Nicole?
Yep, I'm here. Hi, everyone. Nicole Bogosian Ambrose from the county's Land Use and Environment Group. Just wanted to share a quick update. I don't have any slides, just a quick verbal update on how the county's been helping to promote the Get Connected campaign from our end. And so, we're really trying to help get this out on both a digital platform, but then also hard copy in person, because we know that not everyone has that connectivity and access. So we've pushed out to our departments from the toolkit that Sandag has designed the posters and flyers so that they're in common areas and then also at like public service counters available for everyone. And then when our teams are attending either community events or interacting with the community, we have a lot of field workers out there too. So we've asked them, to pass out those flyers, hand them out. We have been doing some social media sharing. Different departments have different platforms as well. And then along the just various platforms of social media that exist. And then using email blasts to some of our customer groups as well. And then my favorite is just adding it to the reel that plays before the summer movies in the park and reaching the community in that way as well. We are also working on the direct mail piece in partnership with Sandag. And then, so as Crystal had mentioned earlier, and Daria, it's for the low adoption and low access households have the direct mail component associated with them. And then the county is working from our end too, just to make sure if there's any other households in the unincorporated area that they're also receiving that direct mail.
Thanks, Nicole. So hopefully for some of our task force members, this gets the wheels turning in terms of how you can use our flyers and our posters to really kind of share information with the community members that you serve. Sanjeev.
I was just going to say, I think food banks are a potential target place where these things should be shared. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. If any of you have specific opportunities in mind, please send them our way. Sorry, Nicole, I think I might have cut you off.
No, no worries. I just was going to say one of the awesome things about the toolkit too is that the items are translated into the various threshold languages. There's, I think, 8 of them now that the county is using. And so really promoting an opportunity there for just those print and text pieces to reach those who may not speak English or Spanish.
So can someone direct some of this to me so I know where to find this material that can be circulated here?
Yes, I think Daria posted in the chat earlier, and then we can scroll up and then repost that for you too.
Okay, thanks.
Kelly?
Hi, everybody. It's Kelly Henwood. So one of the things I wanted to mention, and I'm looking at who's actually here. So I think many people, but maybe not everybody, is aware that there are several different what's called a California Adult Education Program Consortia in San Diego County. They're called CAPE Consortia. I believe we have 6 or 7 in the county. And these are a combination of both non-credit community colleges along with K through 12 adult ed programs. And these are free adult ed programs in the public education system that serve adult learners, many of whom fit the population that I think is who we actually want to make sure we get this information to. So that includes adults 18 through 80, and they are in adult education programs like ESL, citizenship, high school completion, career technical education, disability services. And then, for example, our college has a huge array of older adult emeritus programs. So there is what's called a super region in San Diego County that I chaired last year. This year, Crystal Robinson from Sweetwater is chairing. And this might be a really good opportunity for somebody from Get Connected to actually come to that meeting, talk to Crystal, but come to that meeting to present and share some of these resources, because we're serving thousands of adult learners that I think are the ones that we want to make sure that we're getting, they fit the profile of folks that aren't as connected. And so we want to make sure to get this information to those non-credit and adult education programs in the county. And I can connect whomever with who to contact to get on the agenda. We meet once a month on the second Tuesday. I think we went dark in August, so the next meeting would be September. And I will put my information in the chat.
Perfect. Kelly, we'll follow up with you. And in the meantime, if there's like a newsletter going out that we can get some information on there, we'd love to explore that opportunity.
Okay. We don't have a super region newsletter, but many of the individual consortia do have newsletters. So we have one for our consortia, which is ourselves and San Diego Unified Adult Ed. Mr. Corona is very aware of that because he actually used to work with us from Unified. And so there's a East region, North Central, North Coastal, South region, and then sometimes Imperial County comes into this into the mix too. But this includes the consortia or combinations between the K through 12 adult ed world and then the non-credit world. So I'll put my information in the chat, and then whomever can contact me, we'll get you hooked up.
Perfect. Thank you. Betsy.
Hi, I'm Betsy Mueller from 9th District PTA, and with the Get Connected, we could send it out through our newsletter that goes to all San Diego Unified, actually more than San Diego Unified, goes to the 9th District, which is actually all of San Diego County and Imperial Valley PTAs. And I also am connected with San Diego Unified Council of PTAs as officer on that board, and we could send it out through our newsletter there. And we will be having some back to school events I could get in touch with you about for a tent to be up at.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll follow up with you, Betsy. All right, we're gonna move forward to Paul. For any others, if this gets the wheels turning, feel free to pop your information in the chat if you want us to follow up with you on any potential collaboration opportunities. In the meantime, Paul, take it away.
Thanks, Crystal. Daria, if you can pop up the SDHC webpage so folks can take a peek at that while I run through it. I'll keep this short. First, I just want to say welcome to our newest PMO intern, Bryce Park. He's going to be working with me on this project going forward. He's already been very involved with Housing Stability Fund projects. So just wanted to let you guys know that Bryce will be on some of these meetings. This week, we've sent out over 6,000 flyers to our clients and residents about the Affordable Connectivity Program, Get Connected campaign, and the county's Tech Connect program. These are the ones that we have no email address for, and this includes the city hotline number and references to 211 support. This week, we sent out an email blast to about 18,000 of our clients and residents that we do have email addresses to. It includes the same flyers and the same information I just mentioned. As you can see there's our webpage for those that can access it. We're sending out information to our clients and residents about that too. If you want to scroll down a little bit, Daria, I'll go through the page. As I'm going through this, the Housing Commission is also putting together an infographic that shares information to date about our work on this. If you want to scroll down, there's a residential survey we did last summer. We've been involved with this program for about 16 months. Our infograph is really for our internal folks, our board members and others, so that they can understand very simply what digital equity is and what we've been doing about it, and our partnerships with everybody that's on here. We also did complete our own RFQ. We received a handful of proposals. So we're going to be following up with those vendors to get more information, reviewing our options and looking at next steps specifically for our properties. And what relates to our properties is we have 150 San Diego Housing Commission owned properties, which includes 2,401 affordable housing units. And we're going to be doing an evaluation of their last mile services and prepare for working with the ISPs for improved services at lower costs. So that's really one of our big next steps. This will also help us seek funding opportunities to cover costs for these improvements for both the short term, looking at 1 year or less, and then for longer term, because we want to make sure that folks have this going on for a number of years, as long as we can serve them and help it be a better program for them. Lastly, what I wanted to state was I want to extend our thanks to SANDAG, the city, 211, and all the CBOs, community-based organizations that we've been working with and collaborating with. This is a great thing. I appreciate everybody's time and effort on this. We're also very excited about talking more to everyone on. I know they're going to present shortly. We want to talk to them about our project work, and we want to implement best practices. So thank you, Crystal, and everybody for this. And again, Daria, if you could plop in the link to our webpage, that can be accessible for everybody to kind of see what we're doing. It gives a little bit of information about our survey we did last summer. And thanks. Any questions? I can't see any hands up, so.
No questions. Thanks, Paul, for the update.
Thank you.
All right, so we've been sharing, the resources that we put together and what our partners are doing to spread awareness. And thank you to Betsy and Kelly for sharing how they'd like to continue promoting Get Connected. This is all kind of helping us lead up to the state's Get Connected Day, when Marissa from the California Emerging Technology Fund is here to share what's going on with that data, and hopefully create some momentum around how we can in the region collaborate with them on promoting Get Connected Day.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Well, it just sounds like there's already so much mobilization happening already behind ACP. So that's really exciting to hear. So I'm definitely not preaching to the choir, which is a great place to be in. And before I get started, I just want to give two quick shout outs. One to our friends at SANDAG. Thank you for allowing us to have this space today to share this information. And then secondly, Alberto at Cox Communications and our friends there, we're so thrilled that you are behind this effort and are going to coordinate with your CBOs and offer some sites on August 27th. We're really, really appreciative of that. Okay, next slide, please. So just to give you a quick overview of what Get Connected California is, as a response to the CBC's target of getting 90% of all eligible low-income households on high-speed internet by 2024, the Get Connected Coalition, which is comprised of the state agencies and organizations of those logos that you see there on the right. We are coordinating what we are calling Get Connected California, which is our statewide mobilization to promote ACP. We are going to do direct communication and strategic mobilization focused in the month of August as the first Get Connected month. And we will culminate on August 27th, which we are now calling Get Connected Day, where eligible households will receive information on how to attend an in-person enrollment event throughout the state. So we're in the process of IDing ACP enrollment sites as we speak, and that's where all of you it'd be really helpful to have all of you, participate in, signing up to become an organization or a site that would like to host an enrollment event on the 27th. We are looking for our local partners like yourselves to just really make this this day and this month, really, really effective. So I'll talk about that more about that in a second. Next slide, please. So right now, what we really are looking for and what we're really trying to coordinate and organize are a variety of things. One is to promote Get Connected California through all of your local contacts, distribute information to eligible households that are eligible to apply for ACP. Again, host an enrollment site on the 27th, coordinate Get Connected activities for your county, and support any future Get Connected California events and activities that we intend to host throughout the year. Next slide, please. Some of the major activities that we're working on now through August, we have some resources that we feel are really helpful for you to mobilize either on your own or in coordination with other organizations in your county. We've got some email templates that are essentially, outreach email templates that you can use and, or tailor and customize to fit the audience, asking for their participation and their interest at coordinating efforts for Get Connected California. We've got an interest form that we have set up, and it's basically our mechanism at collecting interest from interested parties like yourselves that we really encourage you to fill out. It works as our main contact list as well. And so once we receive your information and you share with us, how you would like to participate in Get Connected California, we'll reach back out to you and invite you to attend one of our information sessions every Thursday at 2 o'clock between now and the end of August. We are hosting 2 p.m. Thursday information sessions where you can come and learn about all the activity going on for Get Connected California, and definitely share with you other resources for you to take back and work within your county to mobilize. So I believe Daria entered that link in the chat. Again, we encourage you to fill that out. I mentioned information sessions, and then beyond that, we are creating a Get Connected California in a box. It's essentially a packet full of information to promote and host an event during the month of August. It includes household information, so packets for households that they can either use and apply for ACP on their own, or bring with them on the 27th to an enrollment site where it'll have eligibility letters and eligibility verification forms, so that it makes it really helpful for them to just have everything they need to apply for ACP. For anyone that's interested in hosting a site, we have developed an enrollment site manual. So again, everything from A to Z that you need to host a site. And then all of our promotional templates that announces Get Connected California, our social media toolkits, so on and so forth. So all of this information we'll cover on our weekly information sessions every Thursday. Okay, next slide, please. And then I think we can actually skip to the next slide. I'm looking for the one, keep going, one more. Okay, so I just wanted to highlight the two organizations so far that have stepped up and said that they want to get involved in Get Connected California. Black Tech Link, which is a CBO located in San Diego, as well as 211 San Diego. We have, sent out an email to these organizations, putting them together, making sure they know who each other are, so that they can essentially create a county team, if you will. So, basically, why organize in a silo when there's other partners in your county that, want to do the same type of work? So we hope that organizations, as more organizations sign on to get involved in Get Connected California, this list will grow. I want to definitely add onto this list Cox Communications. That'll be another important partner to do the work in San Diego. And so again, we encourage you to definitely visit that Google form, fill out information so that we can get in touch with you and you're in our orbit. I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marissa. Her contact information is here. And again, we will send all of this information out with this PowerPoint deck to all of the task force members. Sandag is signing up to be involved in Get Connected Day, and we really, really want to encourage all of our task force members to do the same. John from AT&T.
Yeah, I just wanted to suggest that everybody go through and check out the FCC website and what it takes to apply through there. I've done some initial research on my own, and there are documents that you need to upload for your identification, for your proof of eligibility. And so, as Marissa was saying, I think it's really key for these signups for people to have that information on the ready, so that it can be uploaded if we're doing a sign up day, for example. So we've met with Kathy McKim and Young Yu on discussing what AT&T might be able to do and partnering with our community-based organizations and trying to figure out, how we can best support this. But I think it's really important, as I said, to figure out how to have all the base requirements to get approved. My understanding is that if everything is in order and you could upload that instantaneously, you could do a sign up in 8 minutes. I've heard other reports that if you didn't have that information, then you had to go scan it and email it and send it and try and get it to the right place you could upload it. Could take potentially 45 minutes. So that's a big deal as we go to do these sign up days and how to efficiently get through the process. So collaboration on that, I think, would be key and something we could all work together on.
Great point, John. All right, I know we are a little bit past 2:30, but if those of you who don't have a meeting could stay on, we'd really appreciate it. This is recorded, so this will be posted on our website if you do have to jump off a little bit early, and we'll send the slides, of course. But I do want to give some time to Oscar from Everyone On to share some of the great resources that they have available and that they are also promoting and working through 211 to get the word on about and get connected. Oscar?
Thank you, Crystal. So my name is Oscar Magana, Los Angeles Program Manager here with Everyone On. I'll be doing a brief overview of some of the services that we offer. But Everyone On, we're fostering digital equity, empowerment, and resilience. Next slide, please. So our mission is to help unlock social and economic opportunity by connecting families in underserved communities to affordable internet service and devices, but also providing the digital skills training that they need to navigate the online world. And our impact so far is we've been able to help connect over 1 million people nationwide. We've also been able to distribute over 5,000 devices. And over the last 2 years, specifically as the pandemic rolled on, we were able to provide hundreds of individuals with digital skills training. We recently also did a national study, and one of the major findings of that study is that over 7 million households whose incomes are under $50,000 are connected to high-speed internet service due to some of these free and discounted offers that you've heard about. But the other thing that finding did is we've provided guidance to federal, state, and local leaders on how to use the $65 billion that the IIJA is making available to create fair and inclusive approaches to digital equity. But the report also provides relevant data to community stakeholders to help them be more informed on local digital inclusion initiatives. And that report is broken up into 3 parts. I'll be speaking about 2 parts of that report, and that's affordability and the digital divide. In that report, we saw that affordable internet service and its role to adoption are critical to closing the digital divide. 40% of respondents said that they cannot afford to pay anything for home internet service, and that's why the work that we're doing is very important. But 46% also said that it is either very or somewhat difficult to build that into their monthly budgets. 62% of the respondents in that report said that they would require a significant cost relief to have broadband service at home. And 37% of households said they cannot afford anything more than $100 for a device. Next slide, please. The second part of the report was on digital skills and trust. We know that if people lack the digital skills required to navigate the online world, it's going to be harder for them to trust the information that they're getting, but also that local community organizations is who they trust most. So in the report, 46% of those with high levels of digital skills versus 23% of those with low levels of digital skills said that they trusted a community anchor institution for information about internet benefit programs. And that's why it was great to see what Sandag is doing with the promotion that they're going to be doing on the ACP, getting that information out into the community to ensure that community members are signing up for those offers. 55% said that they were not confident in their ability to find or access government services. And again, that's why it's very important for individuals to have those digital skills that they need. So how do we promote that? We promote it through our national offer locator tool. And the offer locator tool is very simple to use. It's 3 steps. In fact, California for All, Broadband for All is using the same tool as their backend. But essentially, all you do is once you go to our website, you enter your zip code, you enter your eligibility criteria, and then step 3 is you view the offers and you sign up. And a lot of community organizations are using this tool to be able to help their participants connect to the ACP offers or to connect them to the services available to them. But again, this is a tool that's available to anybody, whether they partner with Everyone On or not. Next slide, please. So internet connectivity and device solutions, we work closely with national and local partners to create in-person community digital inclusion events. In fact, August 27th, we're going to be working with the amazing folks over at Computers to Kids on an enrollment event, which is great because it's August 27th, and that's the date that everybody's promoting. But what we did is enrollment events. We provide bilingual assistance to sign up for low-cost internet and affordable connectivity program. We also do computer distribution events where we will provide people with laptops, tablets, and Chromebooks. Next slide, please. And this is what Crystal mentioned earlier. We know that sometimes community organizations don't have the capacity to go onto our offer locator tool and help somebody sign up for these programs. We also know that sometimes folks, again, they lack the digital skills to be able to go to the website and navigate the website and be able to connect to these programs themselves. So if folks call the enrollment assistance hotline, which again, they'll be able to access that number through the offer locator tool, then they can receive one-on-one support for internet enrollment assistance. Right now, we only provide support in English and Spanish, but we're able to help them enroll into low-cost internet, including signing up for the Affordable Connectivity Program and calling our internet service providers so that we can walk them through the process or help them through the process to connecting to a low-cost offer. Next slide, please. And this is our team. But again, this isn't all the services that we offer. One of the primary services that we offer is digital skills training. And right now, that's not work that we're doing in San Diego, but if you're interested in doing that work with us, feel free to contact us and we can start working on how we can provide some of those digital skills training. And last slide, please. And that's pretty much it. This is where you can reach us, everyoneon.org. And you can find us on social media. But if any of you are interested in any of the services that we offer, feel free to contact me at oscar@everyoneon.org.
Thank you, Oscar. And thanks for everyone else for staying on. As we mentioned, Everyone On is a great organization that's providing great resources in addition to what organizations like Computers to Kids offers, San Diego Futures Foundation, and they are reflected in the 211 database. So if a community member calls 211 or is looking for more guided assistance walking through the enrollment process for ACP, 211 will refer them to everyone on and connect them to that hotline. So wanted to make sure that this task force is aware that we are doing our best to integrate all of these wonderful resources in one place. And then just to reiterate some of the findings from Oscar, you know, the data that he shared around the need for more outreach and education and trusted community partners to get the word out is such an important part of the success of this Get Connected campaign, which is why, you know, we've done some work to put these resources together, but now we really need your help as a task force to get these collaterals, get these resources to the hands of folks that need it most. So really looking forward to working with all of you to share the Get Connected materials. You'll be hearing from us. Daria will be sending all of the materials out to everyone to make sure it's at the top of your inbox. And if you'd like to connect us with your communications folks at any point in time to see how we can, you know, collaborate a little bit more on Get Connected, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself or Daria, and we'll make sure you are connected to our communications team. Just to wrap up this meeting, if you have any other ideas, upcoming outreach events that we can use to share the word on Get Connected, let us know. Don't forget to sign up to participate in Get Connected Day. Great event to really kind of coalesce and mobilize all of the great organizations that are working in this space. Sign up link is in the chat, and we'll make sure that this gets sent out to everyone in the group. And then save the date. Our next task force meeting is going to take place October 11th from 1 to 2:30 at a regularly scheduled time. Thanks for your feedback today. We'll be putting together the agenda on what will be probably a great discussion around some of the planning and infrastructure work that's under works. So please don't forget to save the date. And thank you all for staying a little bit late and for your discussion today and participation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks,
That's great.
everyone.
Thank
Have a good
you.
afternoon.
Thank
Everyone.
you. Bye.
Thanks, Crystal.